Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see here, I have this beautiful 2004 E46 M3 in Imola Red. We are going to be installing the Valvetronic Titanium rear muffler section on this car. I will also be including some sound clips and installation video for you. So let's get started. All right, so as I stated, I'm going to be putting this Valvetronic exhaust into this beautiful E46 M3. Just gonna unbox it for you so you can see it really quick. It is their titanium rear muffler. It also comes with the controller, which we're also going to be installing, a plate with a packing slip, which I'm gonna decide if I'll put that on hardware. And as you can see, I haven't completely unwrapped it yet, but beautiful titanium exhaust. Now I'm gonna put it in the car. All right, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is removing this aftermarket diffuser. It's just going to be in the way on both sides, so I'm just going to remove these 4 screws. Hopefully they come out because they look really rusted. Put these aside. And last one. Okay. Should is the key word. Come right out. There's little tabs that I don't want to break. Okay. All right, so I have the diffuser out now. I'm just going to put it over here in this box. That way it's not in my way. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I have to remove these bolts over here. That it's part of the clamp, I guess you would call it. And then I have to remove bolts over here and bolts over on this side. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so the first 4 things technically I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these 4 bolts, like I said, under here. I'm going to try and start with the top bolt in this corner, because it is not going to be fun. Let's see if I can get my hand in here. As you can see, this side is now down. There's no more nuts holding it, so it should come straight down. As you can see, I just moved it a little bit. So I'm going to go to this side. I should be able to use the gun now for a quick zap on this side. I'm going to start in the middle. Okay. Nut fell out, and as you can see, these nuts are a little rusted, so that's why I was using a ratchet instead of a gun. I'm going to do my handy dandy wobble with the gun for this outer corner. Okay, and there's one more. I'm just going to put the nut down in this inner corner, which I can remove the wobble for. Just to make my life easier. All right, last but not least. And that is now out. So now I'm going to hopefully just use the pry bar to wiggle it down. Like I said, this side's out. I'm going to hold on to this. It's this inner corner that's giving me trouble. See if lowering this is going to help me. As you can see, this side's coming down, or should be coming down. Let me just make sure. All right, so this side's out. I'm just going to flip this so it doesn't get caught. This side's out. Might have to come down a little more. The issue I'm having is this side over here, which I don't know if it'll reach, but the gaskets came out. Cool. I'm trying to see if I could pry it down. This side is getting stuck. As you can see, if you look at where I'm pointing, this piece over here is stuck at the top. And I'm trying, oh! I think I got it. Felt her move. All right, let me see if I could put this down. And as I'm spinning it down, hopefully, oh, hold on. Might have to pry it again, so it looks like it keeps getting stuck. it down too much. Alright, so this side's coming down, which is good. And now where it's getting stuck is over here, because the one gasket came out, and this piece over here, I'm gonna have to hit it with a hammer. Gonna move this back. I'm gonna Alright. So what I'm gonna try and do, I'm gonna try to wiggle it. Seems like it's stuck over here. Now that I have it down. All right, I'm gonna try and get this out and then I'll be right back. All right, so as you can see, I have the exhaust down. I needed some help taking it down. Also, a few other things I'm gonna mention. The one pipe had a piece protruding out, so that's why I was getting stuck up on the isolator as well on the pipe. So two other things that I'm going to be doing is removing the 3 isolators and putting it onto the new exhaust. I also wire brushed the protruding pipe so that we don't have an exhaust leak. And I also cleaned up the sealing ring, I guess you would call it. Normally it would be a gasket on the newer cars, but this one has like a sealing ring. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to remove these. I'm going to leave them here so I know the orientation they go. Just slide over here and do the same thing. And now I'm going to take these and put them on the new exhaust. All right, so as you can see here, I have the exhaust. I'm putting on the isolator in the same spot that it came off from. Oh, my nut fell. And I'm just gonna put these on hand tight for now until all 3 are on. I'm gonna go back. Do the same thing over here. And then last but not least, I'm going to use my ratchet and tighten them down now. The isolator will still be freely with movement. Just want to make sure that it's tight on there. I'll do the other 2 sides now. I'll try to get the bolts. Okay. All right, so those are on there now. So I'm gonna go situate it up on the car, on the pole jack, and then I will be back. All right, so as you can see here, I have the exhaust up already. On this side over here, I did put the 2 nuts on, just finger tight for now. Another thing to note is when putting up the exhaust, you want to make sure that you are lowering the mid pipe a little bit so that you can get this flange into this exhaust side. It's just easier that way. And then another thing is, I have this side finger tight already, so I'm just going to jack up the exhaust a little more so I can get this side finger tight as well. You just put this in here. I'm also not going to be able to wrap this up right now. I have to go pick up some hardware for this because we realized the bolts that came out from the stock exhaust here, I don't have any nuts for it because it had, if you look over here, it had mounted on the back of this flange piece here. It was like the nut attached to it, so I'm going to need to get nuts for the back of the stock bolts, or I could just upgrade the bolts and put new bolts in there, which I might do, just so that there's new hardware in general. All right, let me make sure that this is lined up. Looks like it's a little bit off. And I think I just got it. I'm going to grab my nuts. Oh, just fell. I'm just gonna thread it on by hand first, and then use my ratchet and wobble to tighten them down. And then obviously the last step is going to be after I fasten this down, once I get new bolts and nuts for it, is going to be installing the valve unit. All 6 nuts are tightened down. Like I said, I'm gonna have to get some new hardware and bolt this down. I'm just gonna remove the pull jack. And then last few things are going to be, like I said, I'm going to install the valve unit, put the diffuser back on, and then do some sound clips for you, which is pretty. It's like mine. Got a titanium one of mine as well. All right, that's it for now. Let's see. All right, so I have all my bolts in now, and I found nuts to go with them. So if you want to just come take a look. I also have the sealing ring in as well on this side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to evenly tighten them, and we should be good to go. All right, so if you want to come over, I have the 4 bolts and nuts tightened down now. As you can see, the sealing ring has flattened itself as well. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is, this is the proper way to do it, not the wrong way to do it. So I'm going to be putting 2 basically zip tie holders here, because we're going to take the vacuum hose from the valve over here, wrap it around this way underneath the heat shield, and then we're going to put it in through this trunk, I guess, panel over here, and then we're gonna wire it through the rest of the car into the trunk. All right, stay tuned for me pulling the car down now. All right, so as you can see, I have the vacuum hose here. I'm back with the trunk. Just going to, you're going to need to remove everything out of the trunk. As you see here, I have this foam insulator that I'm going to, I already have the hole drilled through it, so I'm going to take a piece of the hose, slide it through. I'm gonna leave the rest of this out. So I slide it through. I'm gonna leave some slack right there. There's also this little cap that sits in this hole way back there. I'm gonna slide, hopefully, the hose through this hole as well. Again, just making this as neat as possible. And now I have to find the other end of the hose and guide it through here. Okay. I'm going to put this back down. Just be mindful of all these wires that are in the trunk. And I'm going to leave this piece of the hose here because this is where the box is going to sit and it's going to be strapped in there as well. I have a piece of Velcro here. I'm going to raise the car back up and now I'm going to wire the rest of the vacuum hose like I said I was going to. All right, so now that I'm under the car, I'm gonna go grab the other zip tie mounting point. And I have my zip ties as well. Let's see if I can remove the back of this without having to take my gloves off. All right, so I'm just gonna put this one right over here. And then I'm just gonna loop these guys through. That way they're ready to go. And I don't have to waste any time. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna take the vacuum hose. And I gave myself a lot of slack obviously because I could pull this back up, but I'm going to wrap it underneath here. I removed the one little screw that was over there, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to take the hose above the heat shield. Above this area over here. And I'm going to thread it through now. That way it's all the way on this side. I'm gonna come over here. I'm not gonna make it pretty just yet because I just want to make sure everything's laid out properly. And then basically I'm gonna zip tie the hose like this, and then I'm gonna take this end and attach it over here. So I'm gonna do this off camera and then show you what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, I have the zip ties on now. Just going to cut them. And now I'm going to just cut the hose. And I'm going to remove the little cap. And I'm sliding the vacuum hose on, maybe, if it wants to go on. And it's going to be snug, but she's on. All right, so I'm gonna just put the screw that goes back on over here to hold that back up. I'm gonna lower the car, I'm gonna fasten the box back in, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna wire the rest of the parts on. All right, so as you can see here, I have the controller box. I'm just going to tighten the nut on the antenna. And as you can see, you can move it in any direction you want. So where we're going to be putting this is in here. Like I said, I'm going to Velcro it down after it's all said and done. But you have your power and your vacuum. I'm just going to do like I did before. I'm just going to attach the vacuum hose. If I can get it on. All right, so that's on now. This is going just to sit here for now like this. If I want, I'm gonna, I'll decide if I'm gonna cut this or not. I haven't decided completely. Now I'm gonna go to the front of the car So with this, Valvetronic sends you a whole kit, obviously, on how you can power it. You can power it into the cigarette lighter. We're not going to do that. We're going to conceal it so that it's cleaner. We're going to use a tap fuse. We're going to go right to the glove box over here and run the power with the tap fuse from inside the glove box. And then we're going to conceal the wires all underneath the trim, all the way back and into the trunk. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. All right, so just recapping what I've done so far. As you can see, the diffuser's back on, the exhaust is on. This diffuser that came off that you originally saw me take off, it's not the greatest fitment. As you can see, it's like not spaced out very well over here. It's not sticking on very well onto the bumper, as well as it's too far over up top here and then really far away on the bottom side, and it's also hitting in the middle. Another thing is the controllers in the trunk. Just need to get some like 3M tape to hold it down in the middle. I'm going to put everything back in the trunk. And last but not least, let me move this out of the way so that you guys can see. The wiring from the fuse box all the way to the back is now hidden. And now I'm going to get in the car and start for you. All right, so I have the controller in my hand. I'm going to get in the car now. Alright, so the valves are currently closed in the car. So I don't need to do anything with my controller, but I'm just going to rev it out for you. And now I'm going to open the valves. And now I'm going to rev it out again. Sounds really nice. Now I'm going to just close the valves. As you can hear it close, and now I'm just going to shut off the car. I'm going to leave the valve controller in the box. Well, center console, I should say. Oh. And as you can see, the car sounds really nice. I actually think it sounds just a little bit better than my G80, but let me know what you think in the comments.